You just got your asses whipped by a bunch of goddamn nerds. Nerds!
All right. UFC Vegas 96 was this past weekend. The Fighting Nerds have officially arrived. As you can see, I'm also wearing glasses. These are his glasses, and I feel like I'm drunk. Like,
hey, dude, dog, they're your glasses. You look good. You look good.
Can't describe how much I cannot see right now. You're so blurry. It's actually insane. Like, I was trying to start the pod before on OBS, and I literally had to go like this to see on the laptop. So
I addressed this in passing after Carlos Prates' win. But yeah, I'm just blind. I'm not one of the fighting nerds. Eventually, those guys are on another level. But
yeah,
hey, we're doing him justice. Rob is going blind just to show his support and shout out to Caio Barajo for that big win.
Yeah,
so.
And once I take these glasses off so I can actually read, let's hop into that main event, man, because it was amazing. Caio Borralho defeated Jared Cannonier by unanimous decision, 2 49-45s and a 48-46. And I scored a 48-46 personally, because I think everybody kind of gave that round 5 a 10-8 for Borralho. And everybody's seeing me start to nail the name now, by the way. I'm finally getting it.
Yeah, I messed it up a little bit in a couple seconds ago, but I got it now.
I'm sure we're both going to get there.
I got it. So, I mean, let me just address some first, because, maybe this is because, a little out of sympathy in a way for Jared Cannonier, why I scored a closer, why I thought the fight was closer than you might have thought or it might have seemed, but I think and especially at this point, and we'll get to a topic after we talk about the fight itself, but Jared Cannonier, because I mean it's clear that Borralho he hits like a train. That power is going to really prove him it's going to do him really well the further he gets up into the division. It's something you need, even if he wanted to go up for whatever reason to 205, I think that his power here really it hangs with guys like Jared Cannonier and could hang with a 205er. But I think just how Jared Cannonier was able to weather a lot of the storm from Caio, and just because I think Jared Cannonier, especially at this, the guys, we mentioned it after his last fight as well, how he's 40 now, and this damage and stuff, it piles up and whatnot. Just for him to even get to a decision, honestly thought was pretty impressive, because I thought there was probably a lot of instances in this fight that Jared Cannonier could have went to sleep, but I thought Jared Cannonier hit him. Jared Cannonier hit Caio with a good amount of power as well, and I thought it was a better fight than I'll probably get credit for. But at least for Caio's performance, it might have not wowed maybe the standard casual fan and stuff, especially when he's calling out the champion afterwards. But I think it's clear he's on his way up. I
was pretty impressed by it, man. I think I agree with you. I do think Cannonier did have a decent showing, and that's why I gave it 3 rounds to 2. The only reason why it's 48-46 is just because of that 5th, because in the 5th he almost got finished, and for that you kind of have to give a 10-8. But in general, in this fight, I really thought whoever was pressuring was really doing well, and for most of the fight it was Borralho. And I think the problem for Cannonier is when he was backing up, the only way that he could really get out of it was by swinging big. And like you said, some of those shots did land, but then some of them left him susceptible for those quick straight counters, and Borralho was landing those throughout the fight, even in the rounds that he lost. And that's why I was really impressed, because Cannonier is a really good striker, and Borralho, his striking is good, but nobody was really like, oh, well, that's how he's going to beat Cannonier. Everybody thought he'd probably try and take him down. But he beat a really good striker at middleweight on the feet, and he breaks into that upper echelon that we've talked about before. It's so hard to break into. These guys at the top at middleweight have really been defending their place against these young up-and-coming guys, and this is really the first one that we've seen in a while where we have a young guy coming up, and now he's probably going to be in the top 5 because of this. So
yeah, and just before we could talk about what's next for Kyle Borralho. Sorry.
No,
trust me. Let's try it one more. Let's try it one more time. Go ahead. You say. Yeah, you say it first.
Borralho. It's like, it's hard. I don't understand why. Because I know how to say it, but for some reason it just does not flow off the tongue for me.
Anyways, yeah. Well, we can before we
you can just call him Kyle if you want.
Kyle. Yeah. Before we talk about what's next for him, just like for Jared Cannonier, man. It's like, yeah, that's a guy to me is just like, you wish you could just like just paid more and stuff, especially after how his last fight went, and he's hardly even really got a chance to stay in that fight and finish it the proper way, and he really didn't waste much time afterwards, and here he is again, headlining another card like.
And I think after this one, he might need some time off.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's just tough because you don't want to see a guy like this who's in his 40s who has put on so many great performances, and just have to keep because even if you want to call it gatekeeping, like these up and coming middleweights like Imavov and now Kyle Borralho. I think that was better, but there we go.
We're improving. We're going to have to improve. He keeps winning, man.
Yeah.
Wait till he becomes champion and we have to talk about him.
Yeah. Jared Cannonier, I think what I'm really trying to get at is one of these just more underrated middleweights of this day and age, and even just, before as well, that obviously is still capable of putting on a good 5 rounds, and it's just tough because that damage obviously once again it piles up and stuff, and you don't want to see guys like this just obviously this sport, only so many people get to leave it on a good note. So a guy like Jared Cannonier, I just you hope maybe he can get at least one more win before it's time for him to hang it up, and a nice payday and all that. Because
I think it's possible. I mean, just from this fight alone, I know he lost, but I thought he looked good enough, and I also do think highly of Kyle, because this is the next generation that he's seeing, and I don't think that he's completely done yet. But I also see your point about like his age, and it's like if you're getting further and further away from the title, what's the motivation at that point? Maybe it's to support his family, and if that's the case,
by
all means, keep doing what you want to do. I me, man. I never like sitting here and saying that like a guy should hang it up or a girl should hang it up, because at the end of the day, that's up to them. And I do think that we've seen plenty of fighters who have been way worse off than Cannonier. So I do want to make that point known, and that's also why I'm so impressed by what Kyle did, because I do think that Cannonier is still one of those better middleweights in that upper echelon, and Kyle did that to him, and to me, he proved himself in a big way, and now he's going to get that ranking. He's probably going to be number 5 in the top 5, and really, he has a lot of options ahead of him. I mean, Whitaker is fighting Khamzat. You could maybe make the argument that he could deserve one of those guys, or even the winner of Imavov versus Allen. I could see that being a fun fight. I just think that right now he has so many options because of this win, and it's so good. And out of all these guys who are coming up right now in that young generation of middleweights, he really has the best case for a title shot in general. Like, I'm not saying right after this fight, but in terms of guys like Imavov or Brendan Allen, these guys coming up, he's really the closest now, Kyle Borralho. And I thought that this fight was definitely a statement by him. And, I was wearing the glasses in the beginning, about to go blind because the Fighting Nerds, dude. I mean, this is really a big win for them. Now they're here. This is a big main event victory for one of their top guys. You know, Kyle Bohalio, John Silva, Carlos Prats. Those guys are all so fun, and they're such good up-and-coming fighters. And I think that anytime you have a team like this where it seems like there's multiple guys who have this championship potential, it's exciting. I mean, remember when like City Kickboxing was like that a few years ago, when Izzy, Dan Hooker, Volkanovski, all those guys? It feels not exactly similar because I think Adesanya and Volk were just different breeds, and I still want to see a little more from these guys, but you know, I think that these people from the Fighting Nerds, they're here, and I think they're going to continue to be here as time goes on. This win by Kaio has really put them on the map.
It's everything you want, really, from a martial artist. You know, like, they are winning fights. One of them just got a main event win. They're finishing fights. John Silva and Prates are coming off finishes, and they're selling themselves. Like, they're marketing themselves. They're you know, the fans like me and you are obviously gravitating towards what how they, just like their personality and stuff, and just what they're all about, and just what they want to bring to the table, just like that fresh, you know, just new wave, I guess, of these fighters that are just exciting. You know, they're exciting. They have personality. They're outspoken and stuff, and clearly outspoken.
I think it's worth noting too what you're saying about them being so exciting. Like, it's not like these guys are just coming out and, you know, hugging guys against the cage, just not really trying to like do damage, just trying to do enough to win. These guys are going for the finish constantly. They all have super exciting styles, whether it be because of great striking or, in Kyle's case, a pretty good all-around game, honestly. So,
and they're staying active.
Fun.
They're staying very active.
I mean, we've talked, especially John Silva. We talked about him 2 pods in a row because he fought 2 cards in a row. So these guys, keep an eye on them. You know, they've been getting a lot of coverage coming into this week, as they've deserved. I feel like we've been talking about them probably for the past couple months, just seeing what, especially John Silva, because he was so active at one point, and then Carlos Prats, obviously, and now Kaio with the biggest win for them to date. I do think that they're going to get more coverage as time goes on, and I'm glad that they are, because they really do deserve it. I was really impressed by this win. So let's move on to the co-main event, and that is Tabitha Ricci versus Angela Hill. For those who didn't see that, Ricci defeated Angela Hill by unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. Very fun fight, honestly. It was pretty much like a slugfest. I thought that it was similar to the main event in the sense that, like, whoever was pressuring seemed to be doing better, especially Ricci, because she started the fight off with this crazy pace, and I thought it was pretty obvious that she won round 1. Round 2 is the close one, and I think that that's the round that people are probably debating about. You know, Ricci starts off the round really well, similar to how she did in round 1, and even on the feet she was doing pretty decent against Angela Hill. And I think the people who think Angela won are seeing the end of the round, but I just don't think that Angela was landing with enough power and doing enough damage with those strikes in round 2. And it's not like she outlanded Ricci by like 50. She only landed, I think, 5-10 more strikes. At least I could look that up too, honestly. But and then round 3, I thought Angela Hill clearly won that, because the pace that Ricci was putting on, it's hard to keep over 3 rounds.
Yeah, well, there you go. Like, I'll say I won't say usually, but I'll say typically the one setting the pace for the fight, as long as they're landing and they were actually putting pressure on, instead of like, so it could go in a way where, like, if Tabitha Ricci was like circling whatever, trying to get a feel for Angela Hill, but Angela Hill is the one throwing, but she's not, but Angela Hill, like how it actually went, is not landing as hard as Tabitha Ricci is.
And to add to the point too, in round 2, like I said, she only landed 9 more significant strikes. So it's not like she landed with this crazy amount of volume where it's like, oh, well, you have to give her the round just because she landed so much.
Yeah.
So,
and then when it comes to when it comes to takedowns and stuff too, Tabitha Ricci separated herself there too. So honestly, I thought it was a pretty handy decision, to be honest, for Tabitha Ricci. I'm not trying to discredit Angela Hill or anything, but I think we've seen better from Angela Hill, and then for Tabitha Ricci, just straight up her best performance yet.
Yeah, I think she rose to the occasion. I mean, Angela Hill is a tough fighter. She's so good on the feet, and she's made it so difficult to get taken down, and she has good get-ups because she knows that she has to. And Angela Hill, she's lost a lot of close decisions in her career, some of them that I truly believe that she should have won. This one is not one of those to me, and I saw a lot of people online saying that, and we were talking about it before the podcast too. I don't see it with this one. I thought it was a pretty clear 29-28, and that's exactly what the judges thought. Although one of them gave Hill round 1 and then Ricci rounds 2 and 3, which I thought was odd, but at the end of the day, they still gave it to the right person with the right score, but that was weird. But overall, I think the judges did the right thing here. I think Ricci gets a huge win for her career. And to talk about what could be next for her, there's a rematch that just got announced recently between Mackenzie Dern and Amanda Hebus. Both of them are obviously really good grapplers. Tabitha Ricci's a really good grappler. I think stylistically, her versus the winner of that would be a really fun fight for that strawweight division. So, I don't know if you have any other ideas when it comes to that.
I mean, honestly, I just think the division is full of so many good grapplers that it really helps now that Tabitha Ricci is able to get a win like this, because it does unlock a lot for her, to be honest, going forward. So
yeah, for sure. And she's also just very marketable. Obviously, people like her. She's not the worst looking person in the world, obviously, either. But to keep it respectful, I don't want to say more than that. But because of that, fans are going to gravitate towards her, and we'd be naive to not mention that. But besides that, though, she's just a really good fighter, and she's beating these women at 115 who are also really good fighters. And if she could get through a Mackenzie Dern or Amanda Hebus, if she does get the winner of that fight, she's right up there in that upper echelon at 115. And I love women's strawweight because it's such a deep division, and I feel like we're seeing a lot of turnover in that one. So it does suck though to see Angela Hill lose another close decision like that. She really is one of my favorite female fighters. And also, I wrote this down because I had to bring it up. Did you see her fro in the tail of the tape, Angela Hill? Dude, as someone who used to have a fro, which people who've been watching us for a while must be pinching themselves to see if I actually said that. I wasn't bald all the time. I did used to have a fro. Tiz can vouch for that. Yeah. So I feel like I have a qualified opinion on afros. Angela Hill's before the fight on the tail of the tape, thought that was pretty crazy. I'll show you afterwards. Maybe if I can, I'll put up a screenshot or something too for the. I mean, she's had frozen fights before, but obviously she had her hair in braids for this one. But in the tail of the tape, it was a full fro. So even though she didn't win the fight, shout out to Angela Hill for that sick afro. Now to move on to another fun prospect in this sport, Michael Morales against Neil Magny. Oh my God. Steamrolled Neil Magny, wins via first round TKO, remains undefeated. He's 17-0 now, and now he's in the top 15 at welterweight. So you really can't even say he's fully a prospect anymore. You could say this dude's a rising contender because now he's beating some guys who are ranked at welterweight, and that's really impressive. But what did you think of this one, man?
Dude. I mean, dude, you could see it in Neil Magny's reaction after the finish. He's just bewildered, because honestly, if I was Neil Magny, and I'm someone who with the track record he has in terms of being able to feel guys out and take guys out of their comfort zone, and just a very sharp IQ fighter like that, I don't think that was more of a knock on Neil Magny. It's just Morales really might just be that dude, to be honest.
And Neil, like, he didn't look terrible. He had him up against the cage, which is exactly what you had to do. Like, how could you expect him to throw a spinning elbow to get out of that? And then he drops Neil. Obviously, Neil didn't see it coming because that's usually how it happens though in MMA. The ones that you don't see are the ones that you can't prepare for and the ones that drop you. And just the ground and pound after that was so brutal by Morales. And Neil Magny's a tough guy to do that to. He's a tough guy to fight because that length that he has, it makes it, like you said, it makes you uncomfortable. Like, it's hard to break that range. He has insane cardio. And then all around, he's a pretty good fighter. Like, when it comes to on the feet, on the ground.
It's kind of...
Morales, his striking is insane.
It's kind of similar to what I was saying about Jared Cannonier in the sense that, just two guys that may or may not very well be on their way out at some point. And it's like, two guys who are definitely more on the underrated side in terms of guys they've fought and performances they've put on in their career. And so Neil Magny comes off as another one of these guys to me that, would be nice to see him get, one more spectacular finish before it's time to hang it up. But
I'm going to be honest, I don't know too many Neil Magny spectacular finishes even in his prime.
Well,
it's not his style, really, but I get what you mean. Like, he deserves
he's a
one
guy,
last great one.
Yeah, no, he's a guy that who does bring the best out of who's across from him, and what I'm more getting at is he is a very sharp IQ fighter, and so he doesn't even necessarily need to go for those spectacular finishes, but I still think he's a guy that should command more respect and stuff. And
I forgot that he Darce choked D-Rod. That was a pretty good win. I'm remembering it when I'm looking on Tapology here, but he beat Robbie Lawler in 2020. Remember that?
He's got a resume.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he is one of those underrated guys, and he's, I hate to put people in this category. Beat Carlos Condit too. Jesus, Johnny Hendricks. Hector Lombard, Kelvin Gastelum. Oh my God! I'm forgetting some of this. I mean, some of this was before I was a hardcore fan too, but still, he has a very impressive resume, and he's been around for such a long time. You would like to see him get one more nice win before he's on his way out of there, but if you're gonna keep putting him up against these nice up and coming prospects, it's gonna be tough. But to give Morales his respect too. The reason why we're talking about Neil Magny like that is because, he's getting older. He's not what he once was, but just his style alone is so difficult for people. And Morales did see that early in the fight, and he still managed to hit him with that spinning elbow out of nowhere. Like I said, to get out of the clinch with a spinning elbow against the cage is crazy. And then the ground and pound looked nice, but just the striking that Morales displays, it's elite level. And because of that, now he's in the top 15, and I was thinking about what could be next for him. Wonderboy is fighting Joaquin Buckley, I think, at UFC 307. I think that him versus the winner of that fight would be really fun, and especially on the feet. I mean, I think he'd be more likely to get Buckley than Wonderboy.
That's what I was thinking, too.
Yeah, because, if you're making Wonderboy already kind of, fight backwards in the rankings against an up-and-comer like Buckley, I don't think if he wins, he's going to want to do that again. And who could blame him? I mean, we're talking about 40-year-old fighters. Wonderboy's getting up there in age, too. So he wants to be on a title run. But if Buckley wins, I think him versus Morales could be a really fun scrap. And I think it would do a lot for both guys. So, that's what I see in terms of Morales' future. And just a great win by another really underrated, awesome prospect. And let's move on to this final fight that we're going to talk about. Gerald Meerschaert versus Edmen Shahbazyan. And Gerald Meerschaert puts up what might have been the comeback of the year in this one. I mean, round one, he was getting pieced up badly on the feet. Round two, he got dropped by I think it was a punch to the body, and then he kind of got kneed too. It was just brutal, and it did not look like Meerschaert was even going to get through the second round, but he did. His guard retention, I think, you could argue won him the fight, because when Edmen jumped on top of him to try and finish the fight, he wasn't able to really break through that guard of Gerald Meerschaert because he's always attacking with submissions off his back, and he makes you. It's so
impressive
uncomfortable.
with these grapplers, man. Like, their gas tank and stuff. Like they're just, I mean, obviously when you're getting hit like that, there's only so much you can really do. That's why we're sitting here talking about how this might be like the comeback of the year. But
I thought Meerschaert was gonna get finished. I really did. Even when he was attacking the submission, I'm like, if they get back to the feet, he's gonna hit him with another couple shots. But then,
yeah, dude, it's like a legit survival instinct sort of thing. Because obviously when you're down there on the ground, wrestling with a guy, just fighting for position and stuff, like it really is just that does feel like survival of the fittest. So Meerschaert he's one fascinating dude for sure. And
he's
like
funny. I've liked him for a long time. There's a video. You want to know how I like? Well, I knew who he was, but when I became a fan of him, he posted a video. I think he was wearing like a basketball jersey and cut off jean shorts, and he was playing the saxophone. And he played, I can't think of the name of the song, you know, you know, that's, I don't know if you've ever heard it.
No, I know what it is.
Yeah, I think he was playing that, if I remember correctly. This was years ago. I think like Ben Askren was still in the UFC because I remember he was training with him at the time. But yeah, that was a pivot completely off the fighting. I'm like, yeah, he's great, but he's a pretty good saxophone player too, so I just wanted to add that. I like this call out after the fight too. That's the thing, but that's kind of like where I'm getting at though. He's marketable. Like, he's a funny guy. He's been around for a while. We were talking about it earlier. Now he has, I think it's 12 finishes at middleweight, and that broke Anderson Silva's record, and, like, that's crazy. But then he calls out Paul Craig. That's a fun fight. I mean, they have two very similar styles.
That's what I'm talking about pretty much. Like, these two guys get to the ground, and they're going to be fighting for position and stuff. Like, just the amount of like sprawls and whatnot that you could see between those two.
I don't know if they're gonna do that though, because both these guys like pulling guard. I don't think they're afraid to be on their backs.
I don't know.
Have good sweeps, submissions.
It might because of how similar their style is. Like either one or the other is gonna have to bring something out of the other guys. So that's honestly kind of just how I feel.
It'd be funny if they have like an agreement to not go to the ground. Let's work on our striking in this fight. Just have like a sloppy kickboxing match.
Yeah.
No, I hope that does not happen. I want to see these guys roll. I mean, even if I'd want to watch them in a jiu-jitsu match, let alone a UFC fight. So I thought that was a brilliant idea. I think Paul Craig, I wonder if he's still ranked. And I don't think he is though. Yeah, no, he's not. But he's kind of on that bubble, I would think. So it should be interesting to see if they get matched up. I don't see why they wouldn't do that fight because it's a grappler's dream to watch those two guys. So yeah, overall, I thought this card at the Apex, like we were kind of saying last week, you know, when you see the Apex cards on the calendar, you're like, oh, like this is probably gonna be a rough one. But this one, on paper looked good and then delivered in reality. So I was hyped when I saw this card ended up the way it ended up. So next week though, there is no UFC card, sadly. You know, sad feeling always. But the next fight recap, it'll be after the September 7th card when Gilbert Burns fights Sean Brady. Next week though, we're going to be working on some stuff for September. So stay tuned for some content relating to that. You know, obviously we'll say it as we can. Yeah, so look forward to some cool stuff in September and hopefully for the rest of the year. But like I said, next fight recap will not be next week. It'll be the week after. So stay tuned for what we got coming, and we'll see y'all then.
Feel just like a superstar. Doing all these drugs, I don't think I'm gonna see tomorrow. Living fast, brand new dash up in a foreign car. It's the type of shit that you be doing.